Welcome to People in the Boxes.
All right, everybody. So it's all around us, everywhere. It's all around us. And it's the lubrication of life. Tonight, everybody, we're going to talk we're going to dive a little deeper, pun intended, on the subject of water. I mean, it seems like, everyone, we seem like we know about it, but do we really? We're going to be looking up into all kinds of things and sort of getting off on tangents like we do on the People in the Boxes. Guys, it is episode 102. It's almost like H2O. So never mind. Episode 102, guys, Thursday night, 8 o'clock Central Time, as usual. The People in the Boxes, it's a show meant to think of these topics that seem so common, yet have so many different angles and have different opinions and different experiences. So we're going to get into it, not just water that you drink, but water that has to do with everything. I mean, we are made up mostly of water, but we also, there are creatures out there made up of even more water than us. And we're going to look into topics like contamination of water. Kim's got some interesting takes on that. And there's also flooding going on. I had that kayaking trip recently. So we're going to go over a lot of different angles per se. But guys, bring it on and hit that like button if you could. Share us out with your friends. If you want to support me, hit that subscribe button or head over to locals at theindoorfarmer.locals.com. And sign up and get in on game night and all the good stuff. And go over to Kim's Facebook group, the Legit Bean Review Remastered, and get in on weekly giveaways over there as well. So we got Kim with us. What's up, Kim? How are you?
I'm all right. Just enjoying the last few days of my summer vacation. I'm back in the classroom next week, so...
That seems early to me, but I feel like you have a different schedule down there. You know, it's different.
My district it's not a state thing. It's my district we do year-round school. So we don't have the long traditional summer vacation that is traditional. So yeah, I'm not looking forward to going back. Last year was awful, and there's part of me that wishes I could retire right now, but
and to tie that a little bit to the subject, it's weird because for me in Illinois here, they kind of go off of the heat on the schedule for school and whether they have to fulfill a certain amount of days. And you live like in a desert, so I feel like they'd have a shorter amount of, or maybe they have better AC anyway. It's like you have to, or maybe they're just better at, people living in a desert climate are better adapted, even like subconsciously, or maybe on a individual level, whether you could survive in a desert climate very well. Do you see people moving there from outside of the desert and then not lasting and then leaving because they can't, their bodies can't stay hydrated like they should? And we have the same problem, like during the hotter months of the year, we have to drink more water, right? Even though we should be drinking water in the wintertime. That's a little dirty secret people don't talk about.
A lot of people have been moving here, mostly related to work. We have a lot of aerospace kinds of industry here. We have Johnson Space Center. I don't know what they do out there now, but it used to be affiliated with the space shuttle. We've got the Virgin Galactic. What is that, SpaceX?
Yeah, that's in Texas. No, Virgin Galactic is not SpaceX. Virgin Galactic would be, I would assume that's Richard Branson.
Yeah, it is.
Virgin Air.
Whatever it is, we've got that here, like just up the road from Las Cruces. Right here in our community, we have Johnson Space Center. Over the mountain, we've got White Sands Missile Range, and a little bit up that way from that is Holloman Air Force Base. So we have a lot of military stuff and aerospace engineering kinds of things. We've had a lot of people moving to New Mexico. I'm not quite sure why they're moving here. Some of it's related to jobs with the Virgin Galactic,
Yeah.
and I don't know what all.
I wonder
But
if the dry climate attracts people that have allergies.
it does, unless they're allergic to dust, because we sure have a hell of a lot of dust here. Then that would suck for them. The nice thing about our climate here is we have very low moisture, so our humidity is usually about this time of the year is, well, unless we're in monsoon season, is about 16% humidity. So it's very dry here, which is attractive to a lot of people because that have like lung ailments and stuff like that. I think a lot of people have a hard time moving here because they are not accustomed to our heat, because we do not have a lot of moisture in our air, and you do have to stay hydrated. But as far as like being able to survive in this, it's very modern here. It's not like we live in teepees or huts or whatever. We have air
No, I
conditioning.
just mean like you like different people are sort of more naturally not I wouldn't say accustomed, because people can change, but like they like it better in like that type of climate, and then other people would just like feel like they're melting and sweating all the time, and then like I don't know, you know what I mean? Like there's different people that are just sort of naturally, and it's not like a skill you develop. It's just like, hey, there's certain people that just don't sweat a lot, and there's other people that just like the heat more.
I'm sure that that affects people. I think that may be a factor to some degree, either or way. Some people come and they like it because it's not humid, it's dry. I don't mind some humidity. When I lived in Sacramento, California for 8 years, and when I lived there, it was fairly humid, but it wasn't like overtly humid like they get down in the South. I didn't mind that level of humidity. Now, if I lived down in Georgia or Alabama or something like that, I would not live there.
Yeah, there are some places that are just the temperature isn't as hot, but there's so much more humidity. There's other places that rain a lot, like I want to say like Washington area,
Washington and Oregon,
like they get tons of rain. I feel like they should be like, there should be like these crazy contraptions on every roof, like capturing the rain, not just capturing the rain, but having the rain spin these like little turbines, in the gutter systems and stuff like that. Like
to generate electricity.
Yeah, hell yeah, man.
Hell yeah. I like alternative methods of doing things. I like efficiency, and I hate, I would call myself a libertarian, and I guess to some degree I am a libertarian. Because I don't like paying electric bills. I don't like paying water bills. I don't like paying gas bills.
The alternative is you got to do it yourself, right?
Right.
And if we grew up that way, I feel like we would have that kind of structure in place. But now a lot of people are taking it upon themselves to go and figure out how to live off grid. But if we were just told all of a sudden, like, well, better go get electricity yourself, like so many people would just not be able to, because we've sort of over time we've outsourced those things to people. But hydro is one of the biggest things we get electricity from. And like our rivers have so many dams, like they have like regulations on not allowing any more dams because there are too many, and they're like, it causes all kinds of problems with the fish and everything else. I mean, that brings up the whole ocean of other issues, pun intended there, because once you get to the rivers and lakes, and then you have to talk ultimately about our oceans, because all of that stuff dumps into the ocean, and then we have the sort of the backwards problem, because the precipitation from the ocean into the cloud system and then back on the land, right? It's the big cycle of things. And we just like, what water is like, every part of it is being coming, like contaminated from different angles, not just the old Captain Planet style, like bad company dumping chemicals into the water, which probably still happens, right? But maybe to a different degree, who knows? But there's so many other things, like the forever chemicals we're finding in the air and the water. And do you remember? Okay, so I don't really want to dwell on sort of the climate change aspect of this, but I just want to point out, do you guys remember, comment below, remember in the 80s when we talked about pollution? We were like, we got to deal with this pollution. We had Captain Planet, right? That's a physical thing that we can really fight. And then they came out with this like sort of intangible sort of boogeyman of the climate changing. It's like, well, we're literally on a ball of rock hurling through the universe. Like if it's changing is like pretty like vague, right? Like I get it, you guys might be on one side or the other on it, whether it's a bad thing, good thing, whether it's our fault, what not fault. That's none of that really. That all of that to me is so much more vague, or so much more more detached from what's important than starting with going back to the whole pollution thing. Because we still have that whole trash ring in the ocean, there's people that are working on it and stuff, but that's there. That's a tangible, like, boom, in your face. It's here, baby. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to argue or debate it like you do global warming, climate change, whatever the hockey stick says today. Who cares about that if we have stuff now here that we can do? You know what I mean? Drink more water, smoke more flower. Yes, Leaf Cycle. Guys, I want to put it out again. I keep forgetting, but remember, this show is for everybody and about everybody. So if anybody wants to come up and share what their opinion is, you can share and then leave. You can come up just for a minute. It's not only for the audience members, but for any other creators or professionals that want to play a bigger role in the show. Let me know. But with that being said, I did put the link back out in the profile. The page, Wayland Indoor Farmer Facebook. If you're out there on X or Rumble, let me know, and we'll get you the code, because I want to hear everybody's input on this. Kim, I'll let you go now. I'm done ranting, because you originally brought up the contaminated water, and that's because you have a local issue, right? If you want to elaborate, go right ahead. I'm going to do some dabbage with everybody. Cheers, y'all.
Yeah, so I live in, I think, the biggest county land-wise in my state, and there is a community south of me in Las Cruces. They are literally on the border of Mexico and Texas. Like, literally, you can walk over the United States-Mexico line and be in Mexico, or you can walk over the New Mexico-Texas line and be in Texas. They're like right there. But they have had water issues for a very, very long time, water contamination issues for a very, very long time. I remember hearing about them in the 90s when I came back here after I got out of the Air Force, and a bunch of lawsuits. Well, here in the last year, they've been in the news again for water quality issues. I don't know what happens in other communities in other states when it comes to like water quality reporting, but they report on the quality of our water here. And so people in this community, it's called Santa Teresa, have for years complained about their water. Their water is always discolored. It's always like this greenish yellow color. And so I guess recently it came back that the arsenic levels were really high, and the water company was fined like $250,000 or something like that. I think it's $250,000 because
that's bad.
Huh?
We know that's bad. Arsenic,
Yeah. It's a poison. It's a naturally occurring substance in a lot of things. You have to control for it. I'm really not sure on how you do that. To be honest with you, I'm not I don't have a hard science background, but I know
But
that,
to your point, it can concentrate in the water system, even though it was sort of spread out far distance, it gets concentrated in there. Yeah.
yeah. And the thing about arsenic, if I'm not mistaken, is that it is one of those things that when it gets into your body, that it doesn't leave. It takes a very long time for it to leave your body, if it ever does. It's kind
Do
of
you
like,
think that's the same thing as a forever chemical, or is that something else?
well, it's not a chemical. It's I want to. I'm not really sure what arsenic is. I don't know if it's a heavy
Check
metal.
it out. I'm going, checking it out.
I think it might be a heavy metal. I'm not exactly sure, but I know it's a naturally occurring thing because if you eat too many apples, if you're a parent that, has a newborn baby and you're feeding applesauce or apple juice, you have to be careful about that because arsenic is a naturally occurring thing in a lot of fruits and vegetables. So you have to be aware and you have to be careful on the amounts of food or juice that you're feeding a child, especially an infant, because it impacts their brain development and neurological development and I don't know what all.
I'll read the Google what it says on Google anyway. It says arsenic is a naturally occurring semi-metallic element that is toxic to humans and can be found in Earth's crust, air, water, soil, and plants and animals. It can also be released in the environment, but agriculture and industries by some agriculture and industrial processes. Yeah, arsenic is chemically classified as a metalloid, meaning it has properties of both a metal and a non-metal. It is pure in its pure form. Elemental arsenic is a steel gray solid. It's usually found in environmental combined with other elements such as oxygen, chlorine, and sulfur to form inorganic arsenic. Okay, there's inorganic arsenic. Arsenic
Yes.
can also combine with carbon and hydrogen to form organic arsenic. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so it can be organic or it can be inorganic. It can be a naturally occurring substance that you find in the earth. And it can be inorganic as a byproduct of, manufacturing chemicals, I think. Like I said, I don't have a hard science background, so I know what I know just based on some of the stuff that I've read and from being a master gardener and stuff like that. But so
it was you were watching the true crimes and trying to figure out how you can what was that bean that you can scrape, that there's a bean that's got like arsenic or some kind of poison, and that's how that lady killed her husband when no one knew about it. I'm just kidding. Sorry, I derailed you. But yeah, like you like every woman knows about like household poisons because they all watch freaking true crime and how to catch
I don't watch that shit.
murderer or whatever.
I don't watch that shit. I don't fill my mind with that kind of bullshit.
Unsolved mysteries.
Dude, if I'm going to kill somebody, if I'm going to get to the point where I kill somebody, I will probably kill them with my bare hands.
Right. Well, this is it for me and you, buddy, both. Yeah, as they're going down, you're like, hey, you and me too. Let's go. Like,
yeah, either that or I'll call somebody in my family that's.
Yeah.
Well, I shouldn't be saying that, but I'll call somebody to have them killed. We'll put it that way. I'll either kill you with my bare hands or I'm going to get my family to take care of it.
Or with water, everybody. Did you know you can drown in a teaspoon of water?
Did you know that you can get water intoxication and die from that? It can kill you from drinking too much water.
Okay, so like being waterlogged. Yeah.
So when I lived in Sacramento, and this was prior to, I moved back here in 2013. So somewhere between 2009 and 2013, there was a radio station that did a contest to give away, I want to say like a PlayStation or an Xbox or something like that, a game system.
Snap.
And so they had these contestants drinking water. And the lady, I think the lady that won it, drank so much water that she got what they call water intoxication. And her kidney shut down and she died from it. And the radio station got food and all of that stuff. A lot of people don't know that. You can over drink water and just
know about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the mom who tried to win the PlayStation, she died. Yeah.
Yeah, it was horrible. That was awful. Like, it was right there in the community where I lived that happened. So,
wow. I
did
never
you know
thought
that you
about
can
water drinking contest.
Did you know that you can dry drown? Have you ever heard of that?
I have not.
Okay, so let's say that you are swimming and you are drowning, and the lifeguard pulls you out, resuscitates you, and you seem like you're fine. Well, a lot of people, I don't know the statistics on it, but I know I used to be a certified lifeguard a long time ago. A lot of people, after they have had drowning experiences, that water, I guess, gets in your lungs, and it can cause you to call what they call dry drowning. And I don't know exactly what it is. I don't know if you like get so much water in your lungs that it causes like some kind of expansion. I don't know exactly what it is, but you can die after the fact of nearly drowning. You can seem like you're perfectly fine and recovered, and then, within hours later, like, you die from it. Like,
wow, that seems like that's something that that I would know about. Does anyone else hear about this? Water intoxication, yes. Elisa, man, we just talked about that. Where you drink too much. Now, maybe that's what she's saying is the answer why the dry drowning. Like, but I wonder if it's that, to your point, the lungs have like swelled up inside there, or like kind of like like rice does, or like it's expanded. It like absorbs so much water that.
So I googled it real quick.
Okay.
And it says both dry drowning and secondary drowning are non-medical terms used to refer to acute lung injury resulting from underwater accidents. The so-called dry drowning is inhaled through the nose, causing the vocal cords to spasm shut, preventing air from entering the lungs.
Huh.
So
interesting.
Yeah, I just knew about it because, like I said, when I was up until my early 20s, I did lifeguarding, and a lot of first aid. I used to work for the Caballo Lake State Parks, so I had a lot of first aid training.
Oh, lifeguard Kim.
Yeah. Yeah.
Never have to do the mouth to mouth. You guys remember Sandlot, right? The movie Sandlot.
No. Fortunately, I never had to. Usually, working at the lake, usually if we had a drowning victim, usually we were pulling bodies out of the water about 2 weeks after they drowned, because, they drowned in that big body of water and you can't find them, and then you have to wait for them to surface.
Was this a lake, you said?
Yeah.
So, yeah, the lake, I mean, it may not have the same kind of undertow like a river does, but there's a lot of activity at the bottom, like at the deep ends of the lake, that people at the top don't even realize. There's creatures down there, giant leviathans. I'm kidding, but like
giant catfish.
Yeah, there's big fish for sure that could easily do some damage to a dead body for sure.
Oh yeah, they're nasty when they pop up. Like, ugh. You don't want to see that. Like, did you ever watch, what was that Tom Hanks movie with the volleyball?
Castaway.
Did you remember when he found his friend face down in the water and he picked his head up and his eyeballs were all eaten out?
Maybe like towards the beginning when he's like he's still around the wreckage and trying to get as much as he can, and
Yeah, fish do interesting things to dead bodies. So anyway, that's disgusting.
Well, they eat each other too live. They'll attack one, take one's eyes out, and then and you know what's funny is like I was talking about this like last week, and that kind of brings us to the subject of the river water and the lake water going swimming in the ocean. Like, what do you guys comment below out there if you have a certain type of water that you won't swim in, creek water, because it seems to me that if you're going to swim in one of them, you might as well swim in all of them. I went kayaking on the Mackinac River, and I did get dumped into the water. I didn't plan on getting into the water other than like my feet, you know. But yeah, I got dunked in, you know, nipple deep. It was rough. It was like a crazy little current, and this river, for the most part, is really calm. But this happened to be on the side closer to the bank. There were these two down trees that were sort of creating this little sort of an undercurrent, right? And I bumped into it with my kayak, and boom, it's all it took. And I had a terrible kayak too. Shouts out to the terrible kayak rental place, Area 52. Paintball pits in Mackinac. The thing was just messed up. So hell no. So fresh water, at least May says. Well, okay, I guess that's one thing. Fresh water or salt water. I'm not going to go swimming in salt water, but I'll get in the salt water. You know.
Well,
not getting in that. Okay.
You know, you gotta be careful with some of that stuff too, because they have those algae blooms.
Parasites,
extremely toxic, you know, and I think those happen in the ocean, if I'm not mistaken. Well, they happen in the ocean. They may happen in freshwater too, but you have to be careful with stuff like that. Like you have to be intelligent. You know, people talk about common sense, and I think common sense comes from a certain level of education, and I don't necessarily mean like a college education or anything like that, but people that have knowledge passed on from generation to generation, you know, and a lot of that is experiences and just
like real world knowledge, you might say.
Yeah, real world knowledge. Like, you know, you shouldn't have to tell a person that you don't eat Tide Pods because that shit'll kill you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just think that sense isn't as common as it used to be.
When do you think, I mean, like, I don't think we pushed drinking water ever as much as we do now, even though people probably don't drink enough water. I have water here with me. I'm trying to drink more water myself, and I definitely am a victim of I'd rather drink something else, you know, with some kind of sugar, right? But when do you think, like, this whole push where we were like, oh shit, it's too late but everyone should drink more water, like that wasn't happening in the 50s or, you know, in the 1800s. There wasn't some campaign like, hey, people just somehow knew, or maybe there just wasn't as much other option of like endless Kool-Aids and sodas and different drinks out there. Now we just have more options of things. I wonder what it is, like chicken or egg there, you know, because like people didn't have I don't think we knew that you could drink too much water in like the 1800s, you know, like there probably was, like you were sweating so much, like there wasn't any air conditioning. You were just like, your water was constantly being depleted, right? It's an interesting thought, you know. It wasn't even in the early 1900s, you probably didn't have anyone getting waterlogged. Well,
I don't think anybody was doing a competition to see how much water they could drink either.
That's messed up. Yeah, I've never even heard of doing something like that. I've heard of, you know, beer drinking contests, you know, like you saw like on Super Troopers where they were drinking straight up syrup.
Ugh,
like, gross. Could you imagine trying to down a whole thing of just straight up syrup?
Puke it.
You could
Man,
drown really easily.
that shit right back up, dude. Like,
Oh wow, yeah. I don't know if they really did. I don't know what they used for the movie, of course, but even whatever it was still looked like enough like syrup, so it was something I wouldn't want to drink.
Benjamin says he did a milk drinking
Oh.
contest.
It's all about fearing an issue that can be bad. I'm sorry.
You know, I think that people are more conscious of drinking water because,
Well,
you know, if you know, my dad's generation,
Sure.
my dad was
Really,
an
sure.
older man when I was born. He was
come on up, Lisa.
in his 40s when I was born. And he was born in the 1920s. And so I think that people lived a much simpler life and prior to World War II. And I think that people didn't need to be told that you needed to drink water to survive. I mean, I think it was just one of those things because people were much closer, I think, unless you live maybe in a big city like New York or something. I think that people were much closer to nature and they just knew that they had to, that it was a survival thing.
Yeah, but that's all they had. I'll push back. That's all they had to drink, other than whiskey. So I guess they did drink a lot of alcohol too, though. So they did drink those things as well. So you're right.
Coffee, tea, alcohol, water, milk.
But they also didn't have air conditioning. Didn't have, like they also had cleaner water to just go drink out of the stream. They could just go and find a nice stream and be like, oh,
I don't know that I would ever drink water out of a stream, even back then, because there's organisms that live in natural water.
Or that die in the water. Yeah, like animals that will die upstream, and then
or pee or poo or whatever.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. People were. By the way, on the kayaking trip, yeah, it was nasty. Like people were in there, like with their swimsuits. Like, yeah, we're swimming. We're going swimming. Like they were swimming, and then there were other people just standing on the side peeing, and then pee was just going right back into the river.
Well, and those people that were swimming were probably
used to it.
We're probably letting loose of whatever bodily.
Oh, that too. Yeah. Oh, it's time to. Oh, wait. That's not a log. Watch out for that log rolling down the river. Watch out for the old baby Ruths in the local swim lake. That's how you clear out a pool real quick. You bring yourself a baby Ruth.
Oh my God, I have
that baby. Public pools. Oh, let's hear it in the comments. Go ahead, Kim.
So one time, this was like 20 years ago, like in the ladies, and I was partying down with a group of friends. We partied every weekend, and we would go out to my friend's sister's place because they had a hot tub, and so we would all go out there and we would drink and sit in the hot tub and just have a good time. So this one night we're there and these people come, and one of the guys that was with them had been the drummer for, I want to say, Golden Earring, like a rock band, right? So anyway, so we're all sitting in the hot tub and everybody's laughing and we're all having a good time, and it was a big hot tub, so all these feet are like in the middle of the hot tub. We're sitting in a circle, and all these feet are in the middle of the hot tub, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm a pretty quiet person in a crowd of people. Like I'm, there's times when I'll interact, but a lot of the times I just sit back and watch everybody. So I'm sitting there and I'm listening to everybody laugh and have a good time and everything. And I'm sitting there watching everybody's feet in the water. And there was something floating in the water. And I'm sitting there watching it. And I was like, what the hell is that? And it looked like a turd.
Baby Ruth alert.
And I said, did somebody shit in the hot tub? And then it got quiet. And then everybody's feet came back, and everybody was like sitting forward looking. And somebody reached over and picked it up, and it was a bag of weed in a baggie, but it looked like shit.
Oh
And
no, was it good shit or was it like now it was all wet?
It wasn't any good shit anymore.
Oh no.
So, but yeah,
That's it. No.
Yeah, so
you
that was
jumped in the hot tub with your weed?
I know,
Oh,
man.
was it yours? Cheers.
It's not one mine. I didn't smoke back then. I was a good girl for a long time, dude. Like, from the family, I come from a very conservative family. Like, my dad's family are fucking Texans, very, very ultra conservative. And so, I was a good girl. I didn't do that stuff.
At least while having foot soup in the hot tub, you were good. Foot soup. So I feel like that's a subject in itself. Like we have all these public pools and private pools with the chemicals that we then wash down the drain.
Yep.
Now, some of those chemicals are used to treat our water and water treatment plants, but that's a similar issue. Like, is that okay being put back into the natural world?
What are you talking about? Desalination?
Like chlorine, for example, is put into our tap water, right? And that's being done at the water treatment facilities, not necessarily just the pools that are doing that, because pools have a lot of chlorine.
Yeah.
So that's even more. But like then it's being cycled back into the soil and the water. Like, what's that going to do eventually? Should we have more of a natural way of like cleaning ourselves by using organisms, by using like the way we do with organic soil? What's up, Alan?
So like using good bacteria, have you
Yeah,
heard
like
of deodorant called Lumi?
no, is it like rubbing good bacteria on yourself?
Yeah, it's made out of good bacteria because what causes you to smell is bacteria, right? Bacteria feeding on whatever your body stuff. And so I use Lumi and it works really well. I don't use it all over my body because I don't think the rest of my body stinks.
Rubbing it on everywhere.
Yeah. Well, if you ever see
I'm eating this good bacteria.
Well, if you ever see the commercials for it, like you can put it on your body, your lower body parts, your boobs, wherever, everywhere on your body.
Under boob. I hear that's a bit popular place for a stick of deodorant for the ladies. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever thought of doing that as a man for like, between my legs or anything. But maybe there should be. But then you have like powders and gold bonds and such. Then all that stuff gets washed down the drain back into the water.
Well, the Lumi is good for like 72 hours. Like it kills deodorant.
It's probably expensive too, though, right?
Pardon me?
Pretty expensive, you think? Or
yeah, I think it's comparable to all the other stuff.
I mean, it ain't no speed stick price, but it's like comparable to some other good, like higher end deodorants, right?
Well, your junk deodorant, like I don't use, I quit using like Secret or a lot of those deodorants a long time ago because they dry me out. Like I don't use antiperspirants at all because it dries my armpits out really, really bad and I chafe.
Yeah.
So I quit using that stuff. I started using different natural kinds of deodorants. Like I started out with Tom's, I think that didn't work very well.
Have you tried any of the ones that you see advertisements for, like for men, the Squatch, the Sasquatch deodorant or whatever? It's like I tried that once. You see ads for it. I don't know any ones for any of them for women, but like they're like these all natural brands popping up that have been on like Shark Tank and stuff. I think the Squatch people were on Shark Tank, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm not familiar with that one. I tried, like, they used to have these salt crystals, and I tried those a long
This
time
brand
ago.
here. Have you seen this brand from Elise May says
Melaleuca.
Mela? Yeah.
I've never tried Melaleuca deodorant. I did try the salt crystals. I tried those back in the late 90s, and they work okay. And then I tried them again probably about 6 years ago. The only thing that's kind of I didn't care for with the salt crystals is you have to wet them and then you rub them on your skin, and I didn't like
Weird.
that feeling.
Yeah, that seems weird.
I'm really like,
Benjamin says ever since he stopped drinking pop and eating fast food, he doesn't need the use of deodorant, which is a good call. That's actually, and it's this way for almost all living creatures. What you put in is kind of what you end up smelling as, and good and like. So I learned this with my worms. Like if I'm giving the worms like bad food or non-organic food or processed and sauces and different random stuff, then the worm castings are going to start to smell bad. And it's similar to us people as well. Yeah. Terry, what's up, my guy?
I was having a conversation with my gynecologist the other day. I had an appointment, and I have I'm very prone to getting yeast infections. And I've always felt like it was because I don't think I have good gut bacteria. And I think the reason for that is because I used to get really bad sinus infections, strep throat, a lot of upper respiratory kinds of stuff. And I feel like it messed up my gut biome.
It's not your diet at all.
Well, she was telling me that if you eat a diet, because I like to eat a lot of fruit, I love fruit, and in the summertime I eat a ton of fruit. I can't stand to eat meat. It makes me sick for some reason.
You need meat.
Well, I know I do eat meat, but it's just I'm very limited on the meat that I eat in the summer. For some reason, like my body just doesn't like meat in the summer.
Is it the cooked food? Is it the heated versus cold food in the summer, or is it because fruit tends to be colder? And
it's the texture of it when it gets really hot, and I don't know. It doesn't set well with me. And there's certain foods that I just can't eat in the summertime. They just don't do well with me.
I tell you what, I'm trying to drink less milk. Anyway, go ahead. I didn't know you were.
Oh, I'm allergic to dairy, all dairy. But she told me that eating a lot of sugar causes you to get yeast infections. Yeah, and I remember hearing that like a long, long time ago, and I had forgotten that. So, but yeast really likes sugar.
Mm-hmm. We really are these factories, and water is really the main lubricant, like I said in the beginning, to move all this stuff around for us. And like sometimes health problems could be caused because you don't have enough lube to move cells around and to make things happen. And water, exercise, and I need a lot more exercise. I'm getting this gut, and I don't know why. It's like, what is happening? I'm only eating like once a day, and then I don't know what to do.
Well, welcome to hitting 40. Okay,
well,
so you hit 40 and above, and your metabolism starts to change.
You're right. But I got to push back a little bit because I've had this pinched nerve in my shoulder for like 3 months. I haven't been able to go running. I haven't been able to do push-ups. I can't, there's so many things I'm kind of like stopped on doing. And you know what's up with the shoulder pain, right? Like you're kind of stuck and you're stopped. So I lean on that a little bit. I gotta use that a little. I gotta get a little credit on that one for some a little crutch credit on that. But to your point, yes, I need more. I need to double down now that I'm 40, and I want to. I actually really enjoy being active. It's just that I am also procrastinative, and also I don't drink enough water. I've been trying to drink a lot more water. I got my twisted cannabis cup right here.
There's one more thing that you need to know that probably isn't even on your radar, and that's testosterone. So, along with other stuff that goes on when you start reaching the age of 40, is your testosterone starts to dip, and it will progressively dip as you age. And there's things you can do about it now. I had a complete hysterectomy in 2010, and women use testosterone. We don't use as much testosterone as what men do, but we do use testosterone. And when you lose your ovaries, like I did, I lost my ability to manufacture all of my hormones, and it threw me into immediate menopause. But I've learned a lot about, and you use estrogen too. Estrogen is a factor for men. Men don't have as much estrogen as what women do, but you do have a need for both of those hormones, men and women both.
We go through a cycle, and I think the estrogen has to do with that, where we go through a cycle. We don't have a menstruation, but we have a cycle where we have a week of the month where we are more moody and we have more like emotional instability, and that is our estrogen affecting us. Men have the same phenomenon.
Oh, I didn't know that, but
Yeah, we do.
that's cool. I mean, I don't know that's cool, but I mean,
It's
wow.
interesting because, well, think about it in relationships, like even mother to child, mother to son relationships. Like when your son or when your husband or boyfriend or whatever it is, you can kind of start to, if you know that, then you can kind of start to figure out what their time of the month is. Similarly, it's just that it's a lot easier to find out in reverse. You know what I mean? So, but I want to say something here. We got Benjamin that says, so Benjamin, I'm doing what's called intermittent fasting, and he's in so evidently you're saying that's not a good thing, and I could see this. I could totally see this where my body would overcompensate. But I think that's where the exercise comes in. Like I'm not as active as I was, and this is part of it. But I am walking the dog more often because I need to. She's got some gut issues herself. But to your point about that, I need to get her onto some probiotics as well.
Yeah, when your hormones start changing, and it's different for everybody, but generally speaking, most people when they start hitting their 40s is when your hormones start changing. You start losing muscle mass, you start losing bone mass, your metabolism starts to slow down and stuff. And like with me, I've taken hormone supplements since I had my hysterectomy. I do bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. Not everybody can do that because if you take hormones, it can increase your instances of ovarian or breast cancer.
Oh,
So, if you're prone to that or you've had that,
it
then, you're not necessarily a good candidate. But I do bioidentical, they're natural, they're not synthetic hormones. And I know plenty of men that do bioidentical hormone replacement.
Yeah, it's they call it T something.
Yeah. It's called
TRT, testosterone replacement therapy.
Yeah. So if anybody is ever going to do that, make sure that you do bioidentical, because synthetic hormones are cancer causing. They'll cause you to get cancer, and you can only be on them short term.
Okay.
Bioidentical is not the same. That's your body synthesizes bioidentical hormones differently because it's they're plant-based hormones. So they're much safer.
I understand now. Well, I think we're finding out not all supplements are the same,
No.
And what's funny is with water, it changes when we add things to it, and we think we're still getting water. You're getting liquids, but I think they changed their what was it? I forget who the committee is or whatever, but they were talking about with children. It used to be that parents were supposed to encourage more water drinking, and then they switched it to getting any fluids. They're saying at least get them to drink something,
Yeah.
because they said any fluids will still create a flushing of their system. But I don't see that. Like, that still seems to me like we should still be pushing water a little bit, like more so than all the juices and stuff. Like, I told my son today, like, you have to drink some more water, and he'll drink water if we're out like doing things that get you thirsty. If you're outside working in the garden, working, taking the dog on a walk, going to the park, doing things, then water is like the most glorious thing. You have a nice cold glass of water when you're out or when you're exercising and stuff. Like, oh man, there's nothing better. But then I was looking up like what the best water to drink is. What does everybody think out there? What do you think the best type of water that for you to drink? And I don't mean like put with any supplements added, but like what, like there's obviously we don't drink distilled water, right? If anyone doesn't know that, distilled water is not something that you want to drink, because it will actually absorb minerals back out of you and flush them out of your system. It'll actually
it
dehydrate.
leaches the minerals out of your body.
Mm-hmm. Because what did I say? Distilled. It's like desal. No, distilled water doesn't have any minerals in it, which gives it a sort of a negative charge, which it wants to then equalize itself, and then it pulls out minerals from your own body, and then you're just out of luck. And so it's not like an instant death, but definitely wouldn't do. It's kind of like drinking salt water, except the salt water is even worse, because it's like adding too much salt in your body will make you more dehydrated, right? Isn't that what I'll have to look it up, but I think that's what the effect of salt water is having on you. But
it'll cause you to have organ failure. It'll shut down your organs if you.
Okay, so Benjamin thinks reverse osmosis water. I'm drinking some of that myself. Cindy says natural spring water. And so that would be that would probably be my guess for as far as like water that you can just find if you were just like, in a open place and you had to find water. Like, that would be the best. I don't know though. I think reverse osmosis water there is an argument, I guess, between people on whether or not that is supposed to be drank by people. And I can see it, because maybe you might have a too low of a mineral count in it or something, but you can also mineralize water, or there's also mineral spring water too. Forgot what she said was happening because of it, but you can get some sickness from drinking too much milk. Yeah, I know that. I think there's a big problem with people with milk. I think milk and cheeses is actually not just people like him who's allergic, but so Lisa says, Lisa, come on up here. What are you doing? If you want to come up, come on up. Anybody else? Anybody else? Come on up, guys. It's just, Kim and I both have our own shows separately. We come together on People in the Boxes to hopefully try to bring other people up as well, and to create this atmosphere of sharing perspectives on the topics. I want to hear what you guys think out there on the cleanest, on the type of water we should be drinking. I think
you said something about you were talking about not drinking distilled water because it pulls the minerals out of your body. It leaches it. I wonder if it does the same thing to plants.
Yeah, you're not supposed to you should not feed with distilled water to the plants.
Yeah, I would think that you shouldn't do that either.
I was putting it in my fish tank for a while. I did for a while.
That's not good.
And I thought, you know what? The fish tank is all full of like all that stuff and everything. I thought it would equalize because of it. But over time, I was putting too much in, and I could not get my fish to reproduce. between having a heater and getting that worked out, now my fish reproduce like crazy.
Well, you're lucky you didn't kill your fish.
Well, I did kill a bunch of them for sure.
My
They're
stepmom
just guppies though, so I bought more.
got an aquarium when I was a teenager. She got an aquarium, and when she got it, she like sanitized everything, and then put fish in there, and they all died right away. Well, come to find out, she killed all the stuff that fish needed, all the beneficial stuff that fish need. They need organisms to help them live. So
that's the thing about having an indoor farm or indoor fish tank. There are all these supplemental things that us as humans are now responsible for equalizing.
yeah. Well, it's just like I'm a selective germaphobe. And I do not like my hands to be dirty. Like, I wash my hands a lot. Like if I'm doing something and they're icky feeling, like, I wash my hands, and then I'll go back and I'll mess with it some more, and then I've got to wash my hands. But even like I don't use hand sanitizer, because hand sanitizer, I don't use any of that kind of stuff. I don't use any like antibacterial stuff, because it kills off the good beneficial bacteria that you need, and it actually leaves your body vulnerable to getting infection when you kill all that stuff off. So
that's
I don't use that kind of
be
stuff. I just wash my hands.
There should be some like bacteria-based lotion that we can you put that on your hands, spread it on your arms and stuff, and it's like a live bacteria, good stuff, like a nice layer of whatever it is that you get if you are that old man who was drinking out of his own cow's like trough with the cows every day. This like 90-something-year-old farmer, he had this like news interview, and they're like, yeah, so you never get sick and this and that, and he's like, yeah, every day I bend down with the cows and drink right out of the same trough as they do. And I'm like, so he's getting all this good bacteria somehow by doing that. Well, I just want that to be like synthesized somehow, and then I can just rub that on my skin. And I don't have to.
Well, if you want to do that, then go out and dig in the dirt.
That's what I mean. Like that simulation should be like copyable, or there should be something about that can be. And I'm sure there are some products, like you said, that deodorant with the good bacteria. That's a cool first step. Has anyone ever been in an acid rain before? Have you ever been in like somewhere where acid rain was happening? That sounds pretty crazy, huh? What's up, Daryl? Cheers, brother.
I haven't heard of acid rain in a long time. Like, that was a thing back in the 70s and 80s, I want to say. I haven't heard that term used in a long time. I wonder if that's still something that exists. I know that we had bad acid rain from all the pollutants in the air.
Was that just a Captain Planet plot, or was it real? When was the last acid rain?
I want to say Los Angeles used to have that problem. I don't know that they still do or not.
So this is from Britannica. It says, what happened to acid rain? Acid rain still occurs, but its impact on Europe and North America is far less than it was in the 1970s and 80s because of strong air pollution regulations.
Yeah.
Let me see. Air pollution.
Yeah, well, good luck with those regulations now after that Supreme Court ruling.
Oh, let's not go down that path. I am actually thinking, just as an aside, I'm thinking that we may do a politics episode, but that's going to be very meticulous on my part, because when people start flying with their facts, we're going to be like, okay, let's look this up now. Okay, well, okay, stop. Let's look that up now. Okay. Wait, you're saying this? Okay. Now tell me where that's at. Let's look it up. Because that's the only way we're going to get through something like that for sure. But I hear what you're saying, though. I hear what you're saying. There's definitely some things changing, and regulation is something that doesn't always stay the same. So we could see acid rain come back, to your point. Let's see.
Yeah, I know Daryl said that I know that California had a problem with acid rain, but I think it wasn't just California. I think it was in very other large cities. I don't remember. I was too young when all that was going on. But I do remember hearing about it. It was in the 70s that they started, like, you could buy Freon canisters and you could fill your own. Freon is what they use for air conditioning, and you can fill your own whatever, and you cannot do that anymore. They've regulated that because Freon is something that goes into the air, and I don't know what it does exactly. I know it made a hole in the ozone, and I don't know what all else.
It's just one of the bad ones, yeah. Lisa May says essential oils are good for, like, to my point about bacteria, something you can rub on yourself. I want to get into essential oils. Do you do anything with essential oils ever?
I have to be really, really careful. I have very sensitive skin because I'm so white. And certain, like, I can't wear any kind of perfume.
Right, Ben.
Like, even the really high-end, top-of-the-line colognes and perfumes give me rashes. So I have to be very, very careful with all of that stuff. So I'm not inclined to put that kind of stuff on my body. I have to be very careful with what I put on my skin. And a lot of essential oils, I'm very allergic to them.
Yeah, you can't get it. They have replaced Freon. Yeah, there's another chemical I think you can go and use to, like, charge your AC with. Margaret again on the Rumble. Cheers. These are natural pants. Natural pants. These are natural plants. I'm not sure. Yeah, Ben, you're right. Definitely high passion. But I'm going to stress, if that ever happens, if we do that kind of an episode, like,
I have to go to the bathroom. I'll be right back.
Sure. If we ever do something like that, which I think we should, I really do. The whole point of it is, and I'll probably state it ahead of time during the episode, like, if anyone has any arguments that they want to get so emotional about that they can no longer, like, rationally discuss the topic, then they're going to have to go. And then number two, like, I'll set up some ground rules. Number two, if you throw out facts without backing that up with any sort of reference at all, I don't care if it's CNN, even though I wouldn't agree with it. If you throw out some kind of reference where you got it from, then at least it holds something to not to be true necessarily, but to back up your belief in that it's true, not just to say, well, I just think this. Now, if you say, that's another rule, is like, as long as you qualify things with, this is what I think, this is what I feel, I believe I saw this somewhere, whatever it is. I don't remember where I heard this, but I'm pretty sure it's true. All those things, if you can say that, then, we're on good terms. Like, but don't come up in here and be like, well, this is what's happening, right? It's like, well, okay, can you give me anything? Can you give me anything to qualify that at all? And that's what a lot of people fall short on. Then they start to get emotional, and then it becomes a shouting match. So that's not what we would do here, not for sure, or for sure. We would not be doing that in here. We've had it happen a few times before Kim has been here, a few times since Kim's been here. A different Kim was here one time, when it happened, and it was, it's, I don't mind matching energies, but I also try to play as both sides as much as I can in order to get the best picture I can. And that's why the show is here, because I want to see all different perspectives on any angle. When we talk water, like, the contamination of water is such an issue right now that we admittedly don't have all the science for. Like, I don't know that much about it. All I know is there are stories and studies about microplastics in men's testicles. There are
Yeah.
stories and studies
I had
about
that pulled up.
okay, well, that, and then even
sperm.
before that, we were talking about estrogen earlier. There was there were studies on the water retaining almost all of the chemical compound that makes up birth control. I guess most of what birth control does not absorb into the body and flushes out back into the water, and then was raising a lot of levels of estrogen. And this was years ago, but now we're hearing about the microplastic. So my point is, like, it's a very serious topic, and for this show, we want as many perspectives as we can. I appreciate you guys in the comments. I'm watching it closely because I'm looking for more perspectives. Anybody that wants to come up, let me know. You can come up and be audio only. You can do like this, you can be like, hey, this is Waylon. I'm 13 years old. Yes, it's a stash. I didn't know that's not marker. I did not marker that on. And you could talk. So just keep that in mind. We want this to be a safe place. I don't care if you disagree with every word I say. There should be a way to be able to hear all perspectives, and that's why the show isn't about our opinions. It's more about, hey, what is it that we are dealing with in a real basis? And yeah, we do get off on our opinions, right? We like to get on tangents sometimes. Anyway, I kind of got off on the tangent while I was talking about possible political episode. I'm like, look, there's going to be some ground rules, like come with some receipts, or with the humility enough to say you're not sure, but this is what you believe, those kind of words. Look at the pharmaceuticals. Yeah, the pharmaceuticals in the water, the chemicals from companies in the water. Like, our water is somehow miraculously able to handle so much. It's insane. But you know what? Some of what's happening, Kim, have you seen the stories of the fungus they found that eats plastic? And there's a few other things from bacteria, I think, that will eat plastic, and
Worms.
Yeah, and so, like, there's this sort of thing with Mother Nature, which we call evolution, I guess, where it finds a way to deal with what's happening to it.
Well, I always go back to the whole Newton's third law. And I can't remember exactly the word for word what it says, but for every force, there's
equal and opposite.
Yeah.
Right.
And so, you have these worms that are capable of eating styrofoam. I think they're like they look like what are they called? Mealworms. They look a lot like mealworms.
Mm-hmm.
And, what's the consequence of having a worm that's capable of doing that? I mean, are they going to stop at just being able to eat plastic? I mean, what are the implications of that? What's the research behind that? That's all great.
It could go a swing in the, I actually see this happen in a lot of things. It's something that gets created or is needed, and this can happen in the natural world, but then it becomes, I don't know what the word is, but like it gets too big and becomes a problem.
Well, it's just like here in New Mexico. I don't know exactly the time frame of when they did this, but I know the consequence of it was, we have a problem with erosion here. And so they introduced salt cedars to New Mexico to combat erosion, land erosion. And the consequence
weird,
of that is that those things are highly invasive and they're water-loving plants. And so it like literally polluted the land with these things, and they suck the water dry. And so I'm not really sure where we're at with that, but they spent millions of dollars trying to remove those things out of our waterways. And
well, you don't have a landslide problem anymore, do you?
No, but
you didn't.
We live in a desert where water is precious.
They fixed that problem anyway. Well,
yeah, but created another. So there's always a consequence to things. There's always there's always a consequence. And
Yin and yang, right? Yeah,
mhm.
just like when people talk about wanting to sort of like an absolute get rid of this or that, and it's like that's just it's not going to happen. Like there's always a balance. Like you can't get rid of evil. You can't get rid of
No.
bad things happening. It's just not possible. You can't get rid of pain. But there's an equal sort of like the equilibrium, which is called. Have you ever heard of the term regression to the means?
Yeah.
And water, it depicts this a lot because of how water will settle to a flat surface. Like it doesn't sit at a bubble, like other than, well, okay, if it was at the center of the planet, it might. If you believe that the planet is a globe, the water would be a globe if it was somehow in the center because of gravity. If you believe in gravity, which it's funny that I even have to say that these days, because there's this whole growing population of people that believe it's the magnetosphere, or there's other different explanations that gravity is not really a thing. That's actually out there now, fairly prevalent theories. But I believe that's why you see water turn into droplets when like water drop, like a drip turns into a sphere as it's falling down. But that's my take on water. But I see that it's like it's our sort of flat. That's why we call sea level like the zero, like the ground zero for everywhere, because it doesn't change. Like you can measure land all day long up and down deep into the ground, and you're going all different levels, but with the level of sea, it changes, I guess, with the tides. That's the only thing, but we've sort of learned how to measure that, haven't we? I think.
I
Pretty
don't know
sure.
that I agree with that. I'm not sure that I agree with that because water levels are changing with the melting of the glaciers.
Okay,
So,
you're right. It does change, but whatever the level is, it's universal around the world as far as the oceans go, unless you're talking about the tides, which
yeah, but that's a
does make
magnetic pull from the
right,
moon and
right.
stuff.
So that's what I mean. And I guess if you're talking about sea level, it should be like a relative number because of how choppy the ocean is and how the tides work. That I don't know how they actually measure sea level, because sea level shouldn't be an exact number. It should be like maybe it isn't. I'll have to Google it, but it might be like a 10 foot or whatever they use to measure it, like amount of like.
So, I have a question to ask you.
Okay.
So, what happens to that constant when they start desalinating ocean water to consume?
Well, that's why I changed a little bit what I said, where it's not, maybe it's not constant as far as it does change level, but it's constant as far as if we were to just start scooping up ocean water on our side, like next to the America, it would change the sea level around the entire world. You know what I mean? That's my
Oh,
point.
yeah.
That's my point. Is it's a constant that the entire world can measure by what but by what that altitude is, or by what that
And,
level of.
and furthermore, did you know that our poles are changing
Yeah, I've
because
actually heard
we are
recently that it's
pumping
flipped.
groundwater at
Oh, you
high
think? Okay,
levels, and it's
okay.
causing our poles to shift.
You think we are changing that?
Well, that's what the most current
Okay.
research related to all that is.
I saw some. I guess there are theories which I guess have to do with a lot of things, but there's this thought that our poles are going to suddenly flip 90 degrees. Have I brought this up before? And it's going to change a lot of things within like a 24-hour period. But if it happens, that's what they say, about 10 years or something like that. But I've also heard that's coming, that comes all the time. Like people say it all the time. But to your point, yeah, it's unknown what we can really do fully as far as affecting this planet. I don't think that it matters to the planet I think it mostly just matters to us and how we like what we think of as a what's the term for it? Like a decent living, decent like existence. There's a term for it.
Adaptation.
No, like our basic measurement for what a good life is. There's a
Oh,
term for it. I can't remember the term. Anyway, um,
standard of living.
yes, that's. I'm like
It's
trying to
like,
describe it without the term. Like, what is it? Yeah, our standard of living is what we really think of. What we're really talking about when we think of what we are doing to this planet, because it's gonna do some crazy stuff that we have no control over as well. That's probably going to just wipe us out, like a one volcanic eruption from a big volcano, and that's so there's things that would beyond our control there. Not to be scary, but there are things beyond our control. So I believe focusing on what we can affect to our way of life. So that's why, like, to your point, try not to use as many chemicals, try not to use as much antibacterial stuff. I try to grow organically. We try to do that. I'd like to live off grid. I'd like to try and collect my own water sources and try to have my own creek, and do all that stuff myself. But it's a lot of work. But once you know how the sauce is made per se, um, then maybe then there's a chance that you can make a difference. And that's why I think of sustainability in the same way. It's like when you know a little bit more about your water and your water sources and how to have clean water, then you're actually going to make a positive difference on your environment. Maybe not on like a grand scale, but if everybody starts to do that, you make it more popular. Everybody learns more about it. Like natural water filters. Have you ever seen those, Kim? Like a PVC pipe, and you can do like these layers of rock and sand, and then
yeah.
like some charcoal. Hey, what's up, Ted? What's up, Gabe? Ohio friendly 420. You guys want to come up? Come on up. Come on up. Don't just be shy out there in the comments. Come on up on screen. Boom shakalaka. He's got his new catchphrase. Boom, boom. Or no. Okay, let me read it verbatim here. Boom, boom, shakalaka, boom.
It's ba-boom, shakalaka boom.
All right. There's a lot of O's in that first one, though. I had to give it its full O. The fungi documentary. Yeah, fungus is a weird thing too, man. Like, do you think? I don't even know if fungus needs water to sort of like it takes water out of the air or something. Yeah, it's organic. Yeah, fungus is definitely doing something to our planet we don't know about either. There's this whole like like the mycelial layer underneath the soil that's like connected all across continents and stuff like that. That's insane. You love your well water, Daryl. Okay, some well water is good, some well water is not good. My mom's well water is not the greatest, and she's got to have the softener, and there's you got to pour bleach down there every now and then because there are bacteria that will grow and it will make it smell a little bit, and just like all kinds of different things.
Ooh, our water. Some people's well water in our area gets sulfur smelling.
I don't do late hours. Well, all right. I guess it's a little late. 9:30 up in here. I'm laying in bed. Okay. Until you got to put a new well in. Yeah. Yep. The well definitely don't last forever either. That's for sure. My boss well water. Hell no. Not drinking it. Yeah. I don't know the ins and outs of well water, but that was the way we used to get water from most houses. 6:30 there, Daryl. You must be on the West Coast.
I remember my grandma. My mom's family's from Illinois, and they were farmers there in Illinois. At one point, when I was a little kid visiting my grandma, we were at my grandma's house, and
10:30. Okay.
Outside of her house on her property, they had a pump well, like it had a handle where you would pump the water up out of the ground.
Yeah, those are actually more newer style, and they work pretty good. Um, I'd like
Yeah,
to have one actually. I'd like to use them for different things because you could make it pump higher up too. You could use that, but put it on a higher platform, and because a few pumps and that thing will go for quite a long time.
yeah. We had a well. We lived at Caballo Lake, which
Sulfur, yeah.
is a tiny little community. It's like a little resort community by a lake just north of where I live at now. And we didn't have city water because it was a rural area. But we had a well, we had a pump, we had a well house with a pump, and it was a pain in the ass if the lightning struck. One time we had lightning strike our pump, and we had to get a new pump.
Oh yeah, that would suck.
Yeah, and you have to worry about water pressure, and there's a lot of variables with
Well water.
well water.
Yep. Now, if I was a well water owner, I would try to build myself a water tower, so get like a 500-gallon tank or something like that, and have sort of a reserve of water that's pumped up, and have it covered and everything, and make sure it's got like a filter on it or whatever, and boom, and you have it high a little bit lifted up off the ground a little bit enough that you could pump water, like you could just turn on a faucet and have water come out. um, that's my plan. I'm gonna build a water tower, and I think water could be our could solve all our energy problems for at least for quite a while, until we grow past it. But the tides. Have you ever seen some of these ideas of tidal? And there's some places actually do it. I think Australia does some of it. There are tidal electric generation places where there's a couple different designs. One design I saw was um, I got this email heating up for a dab, guys. So if anyone wants to do a dab, cheers. But I guess so. One design I saw was like the size of an oil rig, kind of, and it was out in the ocean, like 5 miles out, and it had these like arms, like a spider, where it had each leg out had a big bobber that was about 60 feet wide, a big bobber, and each arm, like 6 or 8 arms, had these bobbers, and they were just literally just taking the kinetic energy from the ocean, the constant up and down of the waves, and inside it was hydraulics were generating the electricity. And then there's another one, the one by Australia that I saw, which is this giant bobber similarly, but it's chained to the bottom of the ocean, and it has enough of a space, enough that it can go up and down inside there with the undercurrent, and it's shooting water up onto the surface, or up onto the beach through like a tube or whatever, because it's bobbing up and down. That's shooting water back up, and that's where they'd use like desalination, and it can also generate electricity doing that. And so, like, there's some really cool things, but we can't get out of our own ways, because those things are like not going to hurt. They're going to harm a lot less wildlife, because they're especially just big bobbers. Like, there's no blade or anything. It's just
Yeah.
big, yeah, maybe you'll find something that gets harmed by it somewhere somehow, but a lot less than like solar and wind, in my opinion. And I'll land right there. Cheers.
Well,
Yeah.
and that's great for places where you have water currents, but here in New Mexico, we don't really have a lot of water to be able to rely on that kind of technology. That's where wind and solar works better out here. I really would like to have a windmill, not like one of those big white humongous things like they have those windmill farms in California and whatnot. But my dad's family were windmill manufacturers. That's how my great grandfather came to Fort Worth and founded the Axtell Windmill Company in Fort Worth in the late 1800s. And I like windmills. I think I like that technology. I think it's a good technology. I think it's sustainable.
It kills a lot of birds.
I don't know that actual windmills do. I know those big white ones do, but I don't know about these
Right.
actual like. I mean, I'm sitting here. I'm looking at a picture of an Axtell windmill. It's a painting that was done of an Axtell windmill, and we're talking about windmills from, that were built in the early 1900s. Those kind of windmills, not those
Oh,
big
I
ones.
agree. There's definitely a different design that can be better. Have you ever seen windmills that go like a merry-go-round? They're like this.
I have not. That's kind of scary.
So I like them because, well, they have them like curly Q too, but I like them because if you think about gravity and the blades of the windmill, if they're going around like that, then they should have fairly equal gravity all the time. But if you have a windmill that goes up and down, then those blades are getting more wear and tear because they have the moment of less gravity and then harder gravity and then less gravity
Yeah,
and harder gravity, and so
more
they're gonna
mechanical.
and they're also going to take more wear and tear because of it. Yeah, and the other way, and they also have to turn those to make them face wherever the wind is, which is really kind of weird. Some of them will turn themselves, but depending on the shape of the blades. But if it's going like this and going around, it's going to get wind no matter, unless it's just no wind that day. But it's going to get wind no matter which direction it's coming at. You know what I mean?
That's cool. I think that if you build like windmills nowadays, you probably want to have some kind of a swivel that would be able to kind of like what is it, a lateen sail that kind of moves so that you can catch the wind,
Yeah.
kind of an idea concept.
I like I like steam power. I think about it a lot because if you think about water that we want to boil in order to make it cleaner to drink, like say I collect rainwater and then boil it in order to make sure I can drink it. But if I boil it, I could boil it in a way that generates electricity. And I'm not talking about pressurized steam. Pressurized steam is highly dangerous and, combustible. I mean, not like explosive, but blows up a lot on people.
Yeah.
And but I'm talking about using non-pressurized steam just to get water to a higher point. If we whatever energy we can use that is free or cheaper in order to get water to a higher point, then we have a battery that can be used anytime. Because one of the biggest issues we have right now with power is storing it. And some cities will have like a lake that they build up in like the mountains, or if they have a lake already, they'll use that. Have you ever seen this where they will pump water up there during off-peak hours? So, like if they have a power plant or something that's generating power during the night when no one's using it, and it has nowhere to go, it gets used up anyway. Like there's no way to save it. They use it to pump water uphill to a lake, and then they can turn on the faucet, if you will, to generate hydroelectricity from that lake whenever they need it during the day when it's like high demand for that energy. And that makes a lot of sense. And I think people on an individual level could do that on a small scale.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen. Well, we have reservoirs like that here in our state. Around, most of them are in the mountainous areas, of course. But
Right.
my city where I live, we pump our water. We pump groundwater. So, and there we have these big they're not tanks that sit up in the air, but big round ground tanks. They sit on the ground, and they pump water up into those tanks. Our community that furnishes water.
Yeah, because it's at a higher elevation. Or no? They just pump it back out?
No, they're just water holding tanks. They're just tanks that hold water.
Well, I know that California has trouble with like dealing with water and
Oh yeah, Southern
I
California.
I'm just gonna say my opinion on. I don't believe that it's just because they have less water. I believe there are some idiots that are running some areas in California that when we see the fires, the wildfires, it's because it's not only because it's dry, but because they are not allowing for controlled burns of some of these wooded areas, and then the wooded areas get overgrown with this thick underbrush that then dies and has all this like really dry kindling for the dry seasons, which then causes more higher amounts of wildfires. And one of the reasons that we have quote more wildfires now than ever is not because we have more fires, it's because we have more damage happening from fires, and that's only because we have more people living in more places that are near wooded areas. And so we have for instance the rock slides or the bits of the coast that are falling off into the ocean. We only hear about that more because you have more rich people building mansions on the edge of the coast, and so they're like, look at this, look at the devastation that it caused. Well, that's because you moved there. People like we
Well, you're building in places that really you probably shouldn't be building.
well, and land doesn't it shifts, man.
It's not the constant.
Yeah, like things like my backyard is just sinking down into the back hill, but I am doing what I can to build it back up using natural, ingredients, all my waste, my yard waste and all that stuff, and I'm like building it back up.
Vegetation.
Yeah,
Vegetation will really help with erosion, and I'm not talking just like
much,
grass.
right? But I have too much shade. I need to cut down some trees that are like a little.
Well,
bit
don't
down.
plant trees. Plant like shrubs that don't grow tall.
I'm not planting trees. I'm saying I already have too many trees that are too much shade. There's too much shade for anything to grow back there. There's a bunch of weeds growing back in there now where I've been throwing a lot of rubbish and stuff, so they're loving it.
Yeah, I would plant like not blueberry, but like bramble.
Things that don't need a lot of sun. Mm-hmm.
Kinds of bushes like vining stuff back there will help.
Yep.
And I don't know that they necessarily need a lot of sunlight. I'm not sure, but those kinds of things don't really grow here, so I'm not particularly knowledgeable about bramble kinds of shrubs. But
yeah, that's true, Shane. I saw that too.
So I lived in California for 8 years. I lived in Northern California, and California is unique. They do have water issues there, specifically Southern California. They built a big channel from Northern California that goes all the way from Northern California down to Southern California to divert water down that way. It was a big scandal. I can't remember who it was. It was who was it? I think it was either like a multi-millionaire that did it or some politician or something. So they built that channel for it to like flow water down there because Southern California is very deserty. But Northern California, it's very forested. And, I think a lot of people think of California as being, this place of a lot of cities, big cities, a lot of people. But those areas like that are very concentrated. It's very rural. You have a lot of mountains, a lot of very rural areas. And I'm not going to say that all fires are man-made, like accidents from people being stupid, flicking cigarettes in a, area when it's really dry, or, campfires when you shouldn't, or whatever, that kind of stuff. Some of the biggest fires that they've had in California history, in the recent California history, have been from electrical lines sparking and causing forest fires. Some of the really, really big, nasty ones that they've had in the last 10 years have been sparked by electrical power lines going down and sparking the fires.
Yeah, that was happening, I guess, in Hawaii, where there was like a bunch of electrical lines down on the roads, and they were afraid that was going to cause the fire. But yeah, that's a whole mess that I don't really want to get into. I don't know enough about it, but I know it was really poorly followed through by the local government. That's for sure.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
It's power lines are I don't know. I wish they would go to. I don't know enough about power lines to know that it would be a good solution, but in my mind's eye, I would think that burying power lines would probably be better if you can do that.
Yeah, I like that idea. And like, I mean, if you want to get real crazy about it, we could talk about the, wireless energy possibilities that people talk.
Like Tesla.
Yeah, I mean, there's still people that think that's coming around, but I'm like, there's enough signals around in the air already that's causing us problems. I don't know if that's what's causing us. Like, I feel like water is a lot more of a tangible issue that we can get behind, versus us like being worried about microwaves or what's that 5G, those kind of
Yeah.
things, like stuff that we can't really be that sure of. Maybe we've seen a lot of stuff and maybe we're really worried about it, but water is like by far much more easily, visible of an issue. I'm already a 5G magnet. Yeah, you're probably right, at least to me. All right, guys, I'm getting people on the wheel here from, I just got everybody from Rumble and from X. So cheers to you guys. And then I'm going to get everybody from the Facebook who hit the like button. And we're going to do the giveaway for the game night ticket. It's going to be for next week, not this week. So I'm going to end up with 2 people with game night tickets, and a lot of people that will want to be able to play. So it's going to be first come, first serve on not this coming Sunday, but the one after. I'm excited to take a day off. I'll probably still be in recovery and such from the event, putting things away and everything. So I'm going to need it, but I also need some time to develop the next shop, the next game night shop that we'll be playing out of.
One of the things that we didn't talk about regarding water is that it's a force of nature.
It is. It could destroy stone.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I really saw that in effect out in the river. I was reminded during this trip, kayaking on the Drizzle Dab token float. Shouts out to Drizzle Dab. The trip I took when I was like 14, I had a charter bus trip that I had won because I was a newspaper boy. I was a paper boy, and I won this
There's
trip.
a game about Newspaper Boy.
Yeah. I didn't play it like that though. I didn't do it that way. I was good. I was such a good paper boy. I had a lot of old people in my neighborhood, man. They would just love tipping me in the Christmas time. But I won this trip from my charter, or my, what is it, district manager, and went to North Carolina for like a week. And this at the one point we went whitewater rafting, and it was pretty fun, but it was also crazy because it was like a raft with like what 6 or 8 people on the raft, and then you have the guide. So we were told, everybody on the left side, you'd be told left and then right and then left, and we at one point we hit this big rock, and the guy got bumped out of the boat. The woman, a female guide, she hit this big rock, and she went flying out. We were able to pick her back up, and but that was crazy. Like we could have ended up really bad there if after something like that.
I was on the internet earlier. I was on Facebook earlier, sitting on my couch, just chilling for a minute, and I was just scrolling through my feed, and there was this picture from, I don't know, like might be a weird fact site or something like that I subscribe to on Facebook. But anyway, they had this picture of a community. I don't know where, I can't remember where the community was. It was somewhere that boards the Atlantic Ocean, the northern Atlantic Ocean.
Daryl.
And it shows this lighthouse that looks like it's about this big. And it's like a really rocky coastline. And these humongous waves, dude, like they're huge. And I was looking at that, and I thought, God, I don't think I would care to live around that. That would be terrifying, because those big waves are scary.
It's really weird what people get used to living around. Like you being in the desert. Like for me, I'm like, man, why would somebody just stay there? Well, did you grow up there?
Yeah.
See, that's why. Right? You're just like, oh, what do you mean? This is home. Like if I went somewhere else, it'd feel weird. Right? Just like I know some people who live in like Newfoundland, Canada, and they're like, I can't go anywhere else. What do you mean? Like what do you mean?
But I've lived other places. I lived on an island. I lived surrounded by water, and I'm used to that.
And you came back, huh?
Well, I didn't have a choice. I was a little kid. We were stationed there. My dad worked for NASA, and we were stationed there for something related to NASA, the man in the moon.
You never had a desire to move back to one of those types of climates, whatever it was?
I like living where I live because we have good weather here. I like the people. I like our culture here. Our Mexican culture is very warm and loving and friendly. So I like our culture, and I like our weather. Even though it gets hotter than hell here, we don't have tornadoes. We don't have ice storms. We don't have hurricanes. We don't have earthquakes. We don't have volcanoes, So.
Well, I guess I could see that. I do have a desire to move somewhere else, but that's because I live in Illinois. Everyone who lives in Illinois, it's a prerequisite that you don't like it here, but then when you try to go somewhere, you end up back here.
Yeah.
It's like it seems like the thing. I'm not sure for everybody, but almost everybody.
Well, right? The thing about growing up somewhere and moving away is that wherever it is that you moved away from, that's where everything makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
It's home, and that's where everything makes sense. Like I moved out to California for 8 years, and there were things that I really enjoyed about California, but it was good to come home because this is where everything makes sense. And I don't know how to qualify that any better,
Yeah, and that's funny because like even though I've lived elsewhere as well, but I've also moved away from my hometown, not far, just to the city nearby, because my town is not quite the city, but it's starting to become more of a city now. But I moved to the nearest city, and I was there all over, moved to different places of the city, busy, hustling, bustling places, and then eventually still ended up landing back in my hometown. Gerald Jones, the 3. For the 3. Gerald is a subscriber, and he gets that hash and dash immunity. So congratulations, Gerald. Anybody, if you wanna tag Gerald, you're welcome to it. Gerald might be sleeping right now, though. He's got to get up early in the morning. So, cheers to Gerald.
So Shane, I live here in New Mexico, and you have to worry about the bubonic plague, and you have to worry about the hantavirus. They're both things that are caused from rodents, but there are so few instances of bubonic plague. Like I don't think we had any in our state this summer. Last summer, I think we had 1 case. So it's not common to get bubonic plague out here.
All right, I'm going to pull up the number wheel for locals and quickly check out, see if anybody needs a new number. Not a new number, but a number.
I would be more concerned about getting other tick-borne illnesses like Rocky Mountain spotted fever or Rocky Mountain fever, or what is it that you get from the ticks over there in Wisconsin?
Is it Lyme disease?
Lyme disease. I don't know if you get Lyme disease from the ticks out here, but I'll tell you what, I'd be terrified of getting that Lyme disease.
Well, I mean, if you get that, I think you just put it in a coconut, right?
You're dumb.
All right, let's see. Make sure nobody else. Let's see, Terry, did I get you? Yeah, I got you one. Sir Steve-O got one. Kim, you didn't get a number. Anybody out there? This is our last spin of the week, so.
Why didn't I get a number? What did I have to do something?
Yes, every week I do a post on locals that goes for the whole week, and all you have to do is go over there and comment, like it, and you get a number.
Oh.
And I do 3 spins from that wheel. So all it is like a check-in every week, and if you come in and check in, you get a chance to win, and this is our last chance. So if you want to go over there and do it, you're welcome. If you guys haven't done so, go hit it up.
Shane, the thing about Lyme disease and the thing about catching it soon enough, people in our American culture are conditioned to power through illnesses, and they don't always pay attention.
Tough it out.
Yeah, tough it out, suck it up. I'm a big boy, whatever.
Suck it out even. Wait, that's not.
However you source it. Yeah. And I think once you get Lyme disease, if you don't catch it soon enough, then I don't know what it does to you, but I know it's not good. I know it's got lasting consequences.
6 days too long to see. Oh, you waited 6 days. I first caught it.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, see, you don't always catch it. And if you don't catch it in time, like, I don't know.
Scarlet fever. Oh, yeah.
How do you get scarlet fever?
I think she's saying with Lyme disease, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm going to Google it.
Trent or Shane, did you get a number? Trent, did you get a number? If you guys want to get a number, I'll wait a minute. I'd like to see.
Oh, it's a strep virus. It's a strep bacteria.
Shane got one. Okay, I see you, Shane. Let me look in here. Let me look. That's a strep virus?
Yeah.
Trent, I don't think I saw you with one unless you didn't win already. I'll wait for you, Trent. I will wait for you when the Trent comments in. I see you. I see it, Trent, already. He's on top of it. So, boom. Made it, he said. Nick of time. Say by the bell. Say by the bell. Why? Oh,
I wanted to bring something up about water and like dirty water.
okay.
And I
Dirty
wanted to bring up
water.
something that it was a discussion that I saw in a group. I'm not going to name the group, but
What's that?
they were talking about using human waste to,
To make like a compost.
in their compost.
Oh.
And well, yeah, it's gross. But they were saying that, you can do that. And I was like, cannot.
I mean, maybe like it does
Well, no,
compost, but not.
no, you cannot. Okay, let me tell you, let me just say this. So I remember when I was a kid, there was this big stuff going on. I don't remember if it was in the news. I think it must have been in the news. But I remember my parents talking about it. So they were fertilizing lettuce with human waste.
Oh
And
God.
so you can't do that. Now,
Well,
hold on. Let me qualify that. The only time that you can use human waste is if you have to do something to it to take the bacteria, to take the stuff out of it.
so okay.
Otherwise,
Wait,
it can kill you. You can get typhoid from it.
yes, and but to that point though, waste or poop, as we know it, is actually mostly bacteria. People don't realize that there's actually not a lot of food per se in
Right.
it. It's mostly bacteria, whether that's good or bad bacteria. It's up to us, our gut biome and all that. But to your point, though, I agree. Like, there's probably bad stuff in it. But hear me out. What happens when you have like an old school outhouse, right? You dig that hole, right? Do the outhouse, it gets filled up. Then you cover up the hole, you dig a new hole, you move the outhouse. That's how they used to do it. So our waste does break down. Now, today
Yes,
though,
it's buried in the ground. So
yeah,
let
like
me make a
I
point
would
to
not
you.
fertilize lettuce to it for with it. That's for
I wouldn't
sure. That is
fertilize anything in my
no,
yard with it.
no. I'm just saying, like,
Period. Because
it
it has to be
is.
treated in order
Yeah.
for it to be safe to
Well,
use.
but then you take into account all the stuff we eat now and our forever chemicals, our all of our all of our, what do you call them, preservatives and stuff. That stuff is then being part of your fertilizer.
Right. Well, let me just say this because when you have flooding.
Hi,
So
Daryl.
recently, Iowa was flooded, right? Did you
Bless
see
you.
all of that? Where like houses were sitting in rivers of water, like up to the top of the roof, right? Did you
When
see
was
that?
this? Just recently, right?
Yeah, in the last like month, a couple of weeks ago, I want to say.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing it directly, but I think I heard something about it.
Yeah. So when you see these situations where you have flooding, like you'll see, like when hurricanes hit, you'll see people wading through waist or chest deep water,
Yeah.
trying to save their family or whatever. So you have to be careful with water like that because you can get typhoid. That's one of the biggest
Good
carriers
luck.
of typhoid is water that's been contaminated with sewage.
Good luck, everybody. Yeah, and we don't know. I mean, like when your entire like town is flooded, like all of your sewage backup areas are just like all mixed up with the water that's flooding your streets. So
Well,
yeah,
yeah, and like your sewage, sewage is, it's like,
bad
you know,
stuff. Hey
below
man,
ground.
look,
So,
if Mark or no, if Matt Damon can grow potatoes with his poop, like on Mars. I forget it was like dried up poop. It was like in the vacuum sealed bags, all dried.
Well, you have to treat human waste. I don't know if it's just human waste, but
I'll
for
find out.
sure human waste, in order to reuse it as fertilizer or whatever, it has to be treated. Otherwise, it'll kill you. Or you can get typhoid from it. Typhoid's one of them. I don't know if what else, but for sure typhoid. How did your cheeseburger taste?
Oh,
I don't know what listeria comes from. Listeria,
pathogens that can cause diseases that are dangerous or even fatal if left untreated.
what causes listeria?
Viruses and pathogens and all kinds of stuff. Okay. Well, anyway, back on topic with water. That stuff has bad stuff in it too. Like when I was swimming or when I was at the river, I was like, should I bring a condom? Just in case of like parasites wanting to swim up my pee hole.
Oh,
That's
I've heard of that. I've heard of
thing, man.
like parasites doing that.
Think about it, man. Like a freaking like some kind of parasite, like a
Have
tapeworm.
you
Shit.
have you heard about people that shower or swim with their contacts and get like
Michelle Lynn is number 17.
like bacteria or parasites behind their contacts?
I have not. That would be weird.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Michelle Lynn is a Facebook subscriber. Congrats, Michelle.
I remember when I was a kid, I used to go swimming in the drainage ditches. This was after my parents divorced, and my mom would get so mad at me for going swimming in the drainage ditches when she was at work. And now I think back to that and I think, God, man, I'm lucky I didn't get some kind of a disease.
I remember doing that too when I was a kid. Yep. They're, oh, look, it's raining and it's full. Look, it's like a pool right here. And then you're like, oh, snap.
Well, we have irrigation canals here to water our crops and whatnot. I don't know how you guys water your crops there, but we have irrigation canals.
They have these big machines that have wheels, and it's basically this big like metal tube that has water that goes down it and all the way, like, I don't know how far. I don't know what the name of the thing is. It's an crop irrigator, but it shoots water like just crazy amounts of distances all over the field as it just can roll. It can
it's kind of like a giant sprinkler.
Pretty much.
Yeah, we have some of those here too, but predominantly we have irrigation canals, and the water that comes in through those is typically from the river. But my mom used to have a heart attack when she'd find out that I had been swimming in one of those.
And like creeks and lakes and rivers, like that used to be places that we would swim in as kids, and our parents thought nothing of it because they used to as well. But now I feel like things are just increasingly more toxified and more dirty. I don't know if it's a direct cause of us just not caring, or if it's a knowledge thing. Now that we know, maybe we can make some changes, but it's really weird. Like it's almost like we need to bring ourselves away from the nature thing and then just like come back to the nature for like visits. Like I like this idea of having like living on space stations, and then we come to Earth to like visit like it's a park to get some nature, so that we can leave it, let it be its own thing. Anyway, I actually did want to bring that up. I won't go too much longer over time now, but guys, make sure you hit that like button if you haven't yet. Appreciate you guys for hanging out and all the engagement. But I did bring this up, and you kind of questioned it. You're like, huh? But they did find that the moon has ice, and if there's ice there, that means they can utilize it for lots of things, not just for living, but for turning it into fuel, right? So if you were to get to the moon and create a base, then they can use the ice to turn it into hydrogen fuel or whatever. And the moon has a north and south pole that I can't remember if it's a north pole or south pole or both, but they get like a constant amount of sun. Like there's like a point on the moon where it literally never has a dark cycle. Like it's like the top or whatever. So there's all kinds of reasons why I like the idea of us putting a base on the moon. A lot of people want to do it. Who knows? China might have one already on the dark side, people say. But I like it because, and this is why it's relevant, is that with shipping, like they're talking about putting like this, basically like a catapult or a rail gun on the moon. And if you could manufacture things in space, like in like these sort of space stations that do all the robotic manufacturing that we already do on Earth, if you did that in space, those machines would have a lot less wear and tear, a lot less, like gravity is really where a lot of the wear and tear comes in. And so they'd be able to do all this work up there, and then on the moon, they could just launch it back to Earth. Like it wouldn't even have to have propulsion or anything. It could just be like big payloads of, stuff, and they can just launch it. And from the moon, they could even launch, people for different places. Because think about the low gravity. Anyway, I know that's out there a little bit, but you need water to live, and
oxygen.
well, yes, but
And they don't have any of that on the moon.
no, but we can manufacture oxygen a lot easier than we can manufacture water, in my opinion.
Did you watch that movie? What the heck movie was it with Arnold Schwarzenegger?
You're
About
talking
Mars?
about
Was it
Total Recall.
Total Recall? Do you remember what happened to Arnold Schwarzenegger's character?
Shane has their own moon and their own sun. There's did I watch it? I've seen it. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Do you remember what happened to Arnold Schwarzenegger's character?
When he like exploded because he stepped outside the dome or whatever.
Yeah, I think. Well, it wasn't that. I think didn't his like oxygen mask crack?
Yeah, and they were fighting, and then his face started to implode.
Yeah.
Or explode, actually.
I'm not interested in living someplace that doesn't have oxygen, because
but
God only knows what, I don't want to die like that.
Yeah, I guess you're right. But think about so with the moon itself, they actually talk about some of the craters in the moon are deep, and we could build domes inside there. It'd be mostly protected, and then you could fill it up with plants, and if you got water source, you can do a lot of things. Anyway, water is the spice of life, as they say, guys. So they don't say that. I just came up with it, but sounds good, guys. Yeah. Good night, Trent. Good night, everybody. It's going to be an interesting weekend and really intense for me. So because I'm going to have the doggo with me, but she's not feeling so well. Not sure still what's going on. They say she's full of poop, but it seems like something more than that. I don't know. Giving her laxatives not helping her.
Did they X-ray her?
Yes.
And they didn't find a blockage?
She's had her anal glands expressed, and that was blocked.
She didn't eat something that caused a blockage?
Well, maybe. I mean, it could just be like you said with her stomach biome. Like she might have had too much blockage type food, whatever that is, like gluten or whatever. Maybe she's eating too much bread or something. Whatever it is has been not good to her. So,
well, dogs are notorious for eating stuff. Like there's a lady that I knew that had Great Danes, the really big Great Danes, and the damn dog would eat paintbrushes. And they were constantly having to take the dog to the vet to have surgery and stuff because the dog would eat stuff.
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about, is that she ate something like that.
Yeah. So did they do an X-ray to see if she?
They did. She said they would have seen. She reassured me that there wasn't. I thought maybe something could be hidden in there. There's possibility that she's. Somebody brought up that what if like her sitting around out in the sun too long is like making it like baking it in there like into a brick into like this hard, and it's hard for
yes, like an adobe.
Right.
An
But
Adobe.
yeah, but anyway, she's gone since we went to the vet last, but not today. She hasn't. So I'm gonna try to get her out. If it's not raining, it's been raining crazy most of the day too. So
Try feeding her bacon grease. Like start cooking bacon and whatever grease is left over, just put it in a bowl and let her eat that. I do that with my cats. And
well, that's fine, but I literally got her Miralax and mineral oil. Like I'm giving her two things already that's supposed to make you poop. So I feel like she's already getting, and I gave her too much the first time by accident, and then the second time today I gave her just the right amount, and didn't do anything. So I think she needs a little bit more. Anyway, that's enough for us guys. I know it's been a great topic, but if you're a dog owner out there, you know what's up. But it's been fun. Thanks, Kim. No one came up to talk with us, but we could go all day, so it works out. But we will be back next week, guys. I'll be back on Monday. Kim will be back on Sunday with Legit Bean Review on Sunday on Grow Fam Homestead. So come check us out. Remember, this ball just hurling through the universe is has a lot of water on it, but we have to be a positive impact, I believe, in our surroundings, and to do that we need each other. That's what this show is all about. But remember, every person on the planet has to eat, right? Good night, everybody.